Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. This is Inside the Program. I'm Joe Cook, got Eric Naleen. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, head to InsideTexas.com. You can get premium access for just $1 a week. We'll be going over a bunch of great recruiting news, offseason news and notes, and covering all the Longhorn sports. So make sure you head to Inside Texas. But today, Eric will be talking about what the next step in the offseason evolution is for the Longhorns. Arch Manning building rapport with young wide receivers, young players to know and watch during 7-on-7. And then we'll talk about Chad Scott and how he's already earned some positive reviews. So, Eric, we heard yesterday via Steve Sarkisian talking with Kay Adams that at the end of spring, there will not be a formal spring game. But until then, there's going to be a lot of progress to be made now that the Longhorns are having to figure out what to do with 14 players going to the combine and needing to replace them for year two in the SEC.
Yeah, they're about to hit the next phase of offseason, and that'll be the one that springboards them into spring ball. Of course, it won't culminate in a spring game. That's unfortunate for fans, but you get it from Sarkisian's perspective, the player's perspective. It's a new dynamic in college football, and I get it, as disappointing as it is. Hopefully they still do something for the fans and something for us to cover, go up there and have fun, gather. The good thing about spring games is it was a rallying point during the offseason. But we'll survive. And Texas will probably be better for it. You don't have to worry about injuries as much. But yeah, the next evolution of offseason is going to be the player run practices that will begin on Monday. This is just, you're going to see new leaders emerge. Michael Taft, Arch Manning, of course, will be leaders, but, you need some of those younger guys to take hold of their room. Anthony Hill, it's his time to shine. He's always had those leadership traits, but now he's got to do it in the absence of David Benda and Maurice Blackwell departing. You'll see a lot more leaders show up, but, I'm excited to hear about, how it's going to evolve towards 7-on-7. I think we've got a segment for that. Excuse me. I've been in Vegas for the last 3 days, and it's Friday today, but every day in Vegas is Friday, so recuperating a little bit. So 7-on-7 is going to be very important. Arch Manning is going to have to create that timing with receivers. Last year we lost a lot of experience at receiver, lost a lot of experience at quarterback. So I think 7-on-7 is going to be even more important for this team than we normally hear about. That'll be a good thing to cover. Play run practice is just a lot of working on scheme, working on calls, working on shifts, formations, basically glorified walkthroughs at times. It's just going to be a way to acclimate the freshmen, a large group of freshmen, into just a better understanding. They've been watching a lot of film, but now they're going to take a lot of that film and begin to take it to the field.
I know this is typically, we hear a lot about these player run practices during the summer. It feels kind of new that they're doing it maybe at this portion of the winter still. Is that hold true? Do you remember this from last year?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I think that and I'm gonna dive deeper with this with a source. Normally this time of year they're doing more competition type stuff. The offseason they'll have their draft, and that was to cultivate leadership. They'll have their 18 captains. I'm going to see if they're doing that because I haven't picked up on it yet. If they have, I'll check, of course. This does feel new, and it had me wondering if Sark just likes where his team is at this point. The culture and the program is kind of running on, I wouldn't say autopilot, but everybody kind of knows what to do right now. I'm not sure that they needed to cultivate the leadership like they did. It was so important from going from 2021 when they went 5-7 to 2022 to establish leadership and a whole brand new culture. I think that culture is kind of on. It's kind of like F5, it's like, all right, 14 guys left, refresh the page, and you got 10 new leaders, So I think I'm going to check deeper on that, but I think you've made a good observation.
We'll keep going during these player run practices. Eric, like you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of 7-on-7, a lot of opportunity for Arch Manning stepping into the starting quarterback role, surprise, surprise, to build rapport with young wide receivers. As it stands right now, Texas hasn't taken a wide receiver in the portal, so there are going to be a lot of guys vying for playing time and vying for opportunity, like Aaron Butler, Parker Livingstone, Ryan Wingo, Khaleke Lockett, Jamie French, Dalen McCutcheon, Michael Terry fits in there somehow as well. So this is an opportunity, an important opportunity for all these guys, not just to build rapport, but maybe carve a place in the pecking order once the pads or whatever comes on during spring practices.
Yeah, we know quarterback is a mentally challenging position, but wide receiver, especially when you're young, it can be as well. You've got to read and identify coverages. You might have to adjust your route based on what you're seeing. At the same time, you have to be on the same exact page as the quarterback. And I think that was probably some of the issue why we didn't see Ryan Wingo break out in correlation to his talent. There was times that I don't think he was on the same page with Ewers. It happens a lot with young wide receivers. They still should have got him the ball. But I think this time of year is very important for getting on the same page with the quarterback. And with there's really no experience at wide receiver outside of DeAndre Moore. Wingo's going to be fine because he did play a decent amount this past season. But they're going to have to depend on some of these younger guys. And yes, they will get somebody out of the portal. Yes, he will be good. But they're still they got to take advantage of all this time right now because they're still going to need young guys. So we could talk about who I think is going to have a chance to play, but timing is very important between quarterback and then these guys have to learn how to beat corners at the line of scrimmage too. That's part of it. There's a lot for these young wide receivers to get used to. They've got challenge. They've got talented cornerbacks to go up against. Getting off the line of scrimmage is just a lot different than it was in high school.
We'll keep going, but before we do, got to show some love to our sponsor, and that is Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
We'll keep going. We talked a lot about those young wide receivers, but there are some that are going to have some great opportunities, and that's on both sides of the ball as well. You even mentioned over on Inside Texas a couple names to keep track of, but who are some of these young players now that Texas is seeing those 14 go off to the NFL draft combine that are going to have an opportunity to really carve some roles out?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if I omit somebody's name, that doesn't really mean anything. This is just one source's observations, and we've had other sources talk about other players. That's just how it is. We're trying to get as many different data points as we can, and then we put it all together to better inform our opinion. But this source mentioned on offense, Khalil Lockett and Dalen McCutcheon as two receivers to watch for. He's liked what he's seen so far from them through offseason. A lot of it is, how much do they learn in the playbook by now? How do they look in conditioning and workouts? Khalil Lockett, Dalen McCutcheon. He went a little extra on Dalen McCutcheon, and this one really, I don't know. It got me a little excited, but also a little. I need to see it with my own eyes. But he said he reminded him of DeAndre Moore just a little longer and a little faster. And if Dalen McCutcheon is faster than DeAndre Moore, I think he's going to be a superstar in college football because we know Moore is plenty fast. But it's interesting. McCutcheon came in with a lot of polish, so it's not surprising to hear about him. Highly productive at high level of football. But if he's as fast as DeAndre Moore, you better watch out. That guy's going to be a star.
What about on the defensive side of the ball? There's definitely some athletic guys there, and there's going to be some mixing and matching when it comes to positions based off what Jalen Gilbo might be able to do. But there's guys vying for various spots, whether it be star, field, or boundary corner in that secondary.
Yeah, the two names that were mentioned make a lot of sense. We heard Kobe Black and Warren Roberson. We don't want to forget the bigs, but 7-on-7 is going to highlight the smaller guys. But Black obviously has both those players have a huge opportunity, and I think Warren really needs to compete every single day because he's ahead of Kobe. If Kobe jumps him, it's going to be trouble for Warren. He's going to be he'll be a third corner long term probably. But Black, when we saw him last year, he looked good. Important for him is just to keep leaning up and make sure he stays in a corner body rather than somebody that matures into more of a safety build. That's a focus for his. Roberson has all the talent in the world, athleticism, speed. He's a dog, but he's got to be more consistent. Got to be consistent at corner. That's going to be key for him. But both these guys have huge springs because there's a very good chance that we're going to see Jalen Gilbo do something similar to Jahdae Barron and play more corner in his senior year. So they basically, I think they have four guys capable of starting at corner. Obviously, Malik Muhammad's got a kung fu grip on his spot. But they're gonna have to beat each other out, and then they're gonna have to make sure that they stay ahead of Jalen Gilbo if Gilbo makes a switch.
Should be a lot of fun to track and something that will be all over on Inside Texas. And finally, Texas and Steve Sarkisian announced a lot of their most recent hires. Some of them are in the scouting and in the player personnel department. Some of them, two of them, are in the coaching staff. Obviously, Mark Orfe, who we've talked about previously, he was announced as the corners coach. Terry Joseph is moving to safeties coach. But the running backs coach, Chad Scott, who Texas lifted from West Virginia, was going to stay on with Rich Rodriguez after spending more than a decade with Neil Brown between Texas Tech and I think Troy and West Virginia. Chad Scott is going to be the next running backs coach, is the running backs coach at Texas. And we've already heard, Eric, some good news, good reviews about him just a few days on the job.
Yeah, he's already been making the rounds, and people are getting a sense for him. He just comes across as a hungry guy, confident, but also a very good communicator. I think, based on what I've heard so far, I think he's going to become a really good recruiter. It's a lot harder to recruit to West Virginia, where you're going to be. It's going to be dependent a lot more on evaluation than it is on the logo and getting whoever you want. Now he already proved to be a very good evaluator at West Virginia. He's found some studs there. Now the thing is going to be, all right, can you take advantage of where you're at now? Can you communicate with these studs that they have at the top of the board? Javian Osborne, of course, is a huge priority. KJ Edwards is also a priority. When you look at Chad Scott, his kind of build is on the shorter but stockier side. I wonder if that's going to be something that he can use as a selling point going back to his college career at North Carolina when talking to Javian and KJ and whoever else might fit that description.
Should be fun to track. This is going to be interesting because some of the out-of-state guys that Texas was in on, thanks to Tashard Choice, we'll see if they're able to get back into those guys. And maybe Chad Scott has a different outlook on some of the in-state guys that they have.
I'm just going to pound the table once again. Take JV and get KJ and call it a day. A lot of people, I think it's a misnomer. I see it on Inside Texas as well, that short means small. Short does not mean small. Velocity factors into power. Darren Sproles was small but ran through people all the damn time. You can be a powerful back and not be tall. Now it's, what's your body composition? How much do you weigh at 5'9"? 5'9", 210 pounds is not a small person by any stretch. Emmitt Smith was 5'9", 205 pounds. I mean, it's, you can run through tackles and move the pile. You don't have to be 6'1", 225 pounds.
Lots of guys in gold jackets who are not taller than 6 feet. So definitely something to consider there when looking at running back. So Eric, thank you. Make sure if you're watching, you like this video and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Of course, head to InsideTexas.com. Again, you can pay $1 per week and get all the best inside recruiting info, team intel as we go through the offseason, and great coverage of other sports. So Eric, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside the Program on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel.